A very, very good afternoon and a welcome to Business Today. We definitely have a lot in store, including the latest from East African Portland Cement. When it comes to those figures, where do we stand? We've also got the latest on the Galana project and what Emson Kingi is saying with regards to that particular situation. Once again, welcome to the show. My name is Malika Kazia. Always a pleasure to have you tuned in, of course. And did you know that a great percentage of SMEs actually shut down within the first year of operation? About 46% according to data from the Central Bank of Kenya. Well, today we're going to talk about establishing that business. If you have a business idea and you are thinking that this is going to be the idea that takes me to profitability, it's going to build my empire. Well, we will be speaking to a lawyer when it comes to how to register that business in the first place and the steps that you need to take. All that and more coming up on the show. But first, let's take a look at your markets. We'll begin with the currencies there. The dollar is buying at 99 shillings 99 cents. Well, it's selling at 100.19 shillings. If we look at the sterling pound, it's buying at 133 shillings 9 cents, selling at 133.39 shillings. Now for the euro, buying at 113.76 shillings. It's selling at just around 114 shillings and 2 cents. Now your NSE performance, this is where the markets stood as of closure in terms of the evening, day before yesterday to be precise. The turnover was at 203 million, share traded 8.7 million. NSE 20 share index was at 2,947.31 and bonds traded 1.9 billion. Now with your most active stock, Safaricom as per usual there up top with 10.60 million in terms of volumes moved. We've got Scan Group coming in next with 8.30 million, followed by KCB there with 2.54 million. If we look at Cooperative Bank following with 988,700. The banks have been quite active this week when it comes to volumes moved. Let's take a look at your winning stocks. Flame Tree going up 8.70%. Share is trading at 2 shillings 50 cents. If you look at BOC Kenya, it's trading at 80 shillings per share, going up by 7.02%. Sasini Tea taking an upward turn of 6.15% to trade at 19 shillings. And East Africa Cables there going up 4.46%. With your losing stocks now, Samir Africa has taken a downward turn of 10% to trade at a shilling 98 cents. We've got TPS East Africa coming in next, going down 9.19%. TransCentury next is trading at 3 shillings and 10 cents, and Everready there going down 6.38%. Well, those were the numbers and the figures for you. That's how we like to start a business today. But let's begin now with our first story. Well, a new survey has revealed that 60% of Kenyans do not have a written will. This would result in increased cases of conflict on wealth distribution after death. Now, the survey goes further to add that 40% rely on their next of kin nominations, 20% make verbal declarations, and 5% confide in one family member as a way of formalizing their succession, despite majority of people acknowledging the importance of having a will in place. Well, in the study, majority of Kenyans' assets are held in land and real estate, closely followed by pension funds, SACCO and cash. Now, the report by EN Wealth Conversations sought to analyze the behavior and attitudes of Kenyans towards wealth creation and inheritance, which has revealed a sorry state of affairs. Definitely very important to ensure a will is in place, and many people seem to disregard that according to that survey. But let's move on now to rent. In fact, as February does come to a close, many Kenyans, of course, have rent on their minds. Well, the international firm Richland Property is seeking to bridge the gap between tenants and landlords. In fact, with their latest service, this even comes as defaulting on rent could have even more detrimental effects if you want to rent a house in the future, pending the approval from the Central Bank of Kenya. Take a look. It's almost that time of the month when landlords come knocking to get their dues. Well, many Kenyans are now keen on acquiring their own homes. The Richland Properties Limited is an international company and has come up with a service to act as an intermediary between both parties.
We'll come in, ensure that we get you tenants, or the landlord will get tenants, and then once the tenant is in and is paying say a monthly rent of 75 or 80,000, then that money will be deducted and paid to the landlord, and then from there we'll be able to deduct our fees.
This comes even as the Urban Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya is currently awaiting for the Central Bank of Kenya to approve a process that will enable landlords to liaise with credit reference bureaus regarding tenants' monthly payments. This would lead to tenants who have previously defaulted on rent payments facing challenges in renting another home in the future. Now on to Kilifi County, where Kilifi County Governor Amason Kingi has decided to call out the manner in which the collapsed 7.2 billion shilling Galana Kulalo food security project has been implemented. He further stated that the project appears to be abandoned. However, while speaking to KTN Business team this week, the National Irrigation Board Director Wambui Nyutu did claim that the project is over 80% complete. Here's more on what the governor had to say.
Galana Kulalo, I think we saw it coming, and I hope the people responsible will give us answers. If you read the kind of monies that has been plowed into that particular project, it's mind-boggling, and the returns very minimal. We are now reading that it's almost a white elephant. It's now it's been abandoned. Today, if you go to Galana Kulalo, you'll be moved to tears. I had hoped that a partnership will have been, been built between the county government and the national government on how best we would manage Galana Kulalo. But the county government, of course, was left in the dark in the management, operation, conceiving of this particular project.
Well, the anti-counterfeit agency this morning raided mobile phone retailers on Tom Mboya Street, Nairobi CBD, and did recover counterfeit Samsung devices estimated to cost nearly 1 million Kenya shillings. Now, the sting operation was targeted at small-scale retailers selling counterfeit Samsung mobile phones by misinterpreting inferior phones as Samsung devices, hence fleecing customers. Now, speaking during the raid, Peter Mutula, a brand protection expert for Samsung, stated that counterfeit
It's okay, please. Let them work. I'm not on you. They cannot capture.
If you have seen what is being offered as price is so highly discounted you cannot even imagine. I found that it costs 100,000 shillings. It's being offered here for 15,000 shillings. So you can see the kind of that price difference is just unimaginable. Today we've decided to carry out a sting operation to read the market of counterfeit Samsung mobile phones. You may ask why it is at the retail level. Counterfeiting currently has evolved to be a very complex web of deception, from the point of manufacture, importation, to the point of distribution and wholesale. These counterfeit phones bear different names at the point of manufacture and entry, but it's only at the retail level when it's a fully counterfeited product. So that's one of the reasons why we've decided to start from the low end. That is at the retail level, where we have all the consumers now consuming deceptive products that are being offered as genuine counterfeit phones.
All right, of course, have to exercise caution when you go out to buy that mobile phone. But on to more news. Nyeri's real estate market performance improved in terms of investment returns, according to a new report by Citon Investments. Now, the average residential rental yield came in at 5.1% in 2019 from 4.1% in 2017, with a slight decline in the commercial sector to 12.1% from 13.5% in 2017, and a growth in capital appreciation of land to 19.1% from 17.3% recorded in 2017. Now, according to the report, the real estate market in Nyeri is expected to continue improved performance, supported by devolution. Well, the State Department of Cooperative is just one of the key areas in government where men outnumber women. Stakeholders believe adding more women in SACCOs will boost governance and transparency as a whole. Take a look at this story.
Really, first, I think it's quite an honor to be serving the cooperative sector, because, you know, this is a sector that deals with the grassroots, the common mwananchi. It is through the vehicle of cooperatives that Kenyans are brought together to engage both socially and economically and generally empower themselves. And are there enough women? I don't think that there are enough women in the sector. And I would want to urge that we have more women, particularly when you look at the leadership in a cooperative society or a SACCO. The women are still very few. And I think even as we grapple with the issue of the governance challenges, the issue of embezzlement of members' funds by officials, I think it just says that perhaps we need to have more women joining cooperatives and joining SACCOs, and really to urge members of SACCOs and the entire cooperative movement to back women up for these elected leadership positions, where they have the opportunity to lead and support their SACCOs. So I feel we have a very, very long way to go yet to incorporate more women. And, you know, the short experience I've had, the majority of SACCOs where women play an important role and are well represented do fairly well. So I think it would serve us all well if we embraced women and supported them to take up officials positions, board member positions within our respective SACCOs and cooperative societies.
Working in the cooperative sector has been very enjoyable. One thing, you see people and you see the way the cooperatives have helped people to come up using the savings that they have made in their cooperatives, and you have seen their lives change. So for me, it has been a big pleasure, and especially because apart from working with the Department of Cooperatives, I have also worked with the university. Currently, I'm working with the Cooperative University of Kenya, and I'm also a chair of one of the SACCOs, and therefore it has been a great pleasure to see what the cooperative movement can do to the people. One of the challenges that I would say that I see as a woman is the leadership of the cooperative movement, because you'll find women may be members of cooperatives, but when it comes to the leadership positions, they are not as many. There's a smaller proportion compared with the men. And this is mainly because when it comes to leadership, the campaigns that are usually done in the cooperative sector discourage women from participating. And because of that, they tend to take a back seat. And that is one of the things that denies the cooperative movement leadership from the other gender, and which we cannot ignore because we know as a country our population is even more than men. We are about 52%. So we should actually see almost 50% in the leadership of these cooperatives, which is not the case now.
I would want to say that it has assisted more women to appreciate being in the cooperative sector. When I joined, there were less than 10% of women leadership, especially in the housing cooperative sector. As we have more than almost closer to 50% of women leadership within the housing cooperative part of the sector. I think this is a milestone because for a long time many people thought that cooperative is a male, dominant sector. But when we joined hands, the few women who are in the sector, we said that we want to prove that actually the cooperative has equal opportunity for both men and women. And so we started coming up with policies that were going to encourage even women joining, especially the housing cooperative sector, where I belong. But I would want to say that today it's not only the housing cooperative that is talking about having both men and women, and also the youth in the sector, but the entire sector now has come to embrace that there are equal opportunity for every Kenyan in the sector. And in the housing cooperative especially, most of the beneficiaries of the housing that we produce as NASHU, as an organization, are actually women and young people. And we are very proud because 40% of Kenyans are young people. And when you give them opportunity to own homes, then you are giving many generations the hope of secure tenure and, of course, transforming their socio-economic status. Of course, the women also getting the opportunity to own homes. As women, they bring along the man in the house, they bring along the young people, and they bring along the community. So I would want to say that within my more than 15 years in the sector, I've seen a big transformation of inclusiveness within the sector, unlike when I joined, when actually it was more men-dominant sector. But today we are proud to see that all Kenyans are beneficiaries of the cooperative sector. And what we are looking forward to seeing is a policy that is making sure that we are looking at it from a holistic perspective, where people can put their money, where people can put their deposit so that they can own homes, so that they can take their children to school, so that they can do other socio-economic activities, enterprises, if they're in the informal sector, so that they can improve their socio-economic standards. And by so doing, you are transforming the country, because when you transform the society, then the country becomes a proud country that has able men and women and youth in the economies of development.
All right, with the popularity of motorbikes on the increase, more and more companies are quickly tapping into the opportunities in the Kenyan market. This week on Captains of Industry, Julie Wambui had a sit-down with CEO and founder of Kibo Africa to get a better understanding of what is the future of the automobile industry.
The automobile industry netted in 400 million Kenya shillings last year to the exchequer. The sector has been growing over time. Industry players note that the entry of multinationals has not only expanded the manufacturing sector, but helped bring down prices. One company, Kibo Africa, is banking on the penetration of the Kenyan market.
Kibo Motorcycles is a small but global company. And we're here at Kibo Africa. What we do at Kibo is provide safe and reliable mobility. It's motorcycles, yes, but motorcycles serve a purpose, and the purpose is in the mobility for motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles ever since that was legally allowed in the Netherlands, And even before that, at younger ages in the Netherlands, we're allowed to ride mopeds. So they're lighter, smaller motorcycles. And I used to do basic maintenance on them, even engine revisions. So it's something that I enjoy a lot. Dating back from 2013 until now, the overall investments in the company are approximately 10 million euros. So that's approximately 1.3 billion Kenyan shillings.
According to Hyde, he admits that Kenya's steady economic growth is akin to what Netherlands experienced a while back, something he notes played a part in them setting up base here after thorough research.
Kenyan people are quite entrepreneurial. They have a good drive for business. And I imagined setting up a company here and having to work with people for the coming 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And since I'm an entrepreneurial person, I felt that there was some sort of a click. It connected, and I could see myself setting up a business here in Kenya.
Starting an entity from scratch in a different country is not an easy task. Hybe, who is keen on mentorship and grooming young professionals, notes that cracking the Kenyan market was his biggest challenge.
By the time we entered the market in 2017, there are challenges because it means you start to compete. You start to compete with brands that are also well-known, have long histories, and have long histories in Kenya, which means they have a customer base that has a certain loyalty to them. A while back, we were quite unfortunate to have to move out of the buildings that we occupied for our assembly activities. And that's when we moved into these. The notice that we were given was very short. To move a manufacturing and assembly plant is not a small thing. We had 10 days to do it. Everybody just dropped whatever they were doing. We sat together, we made a very rudimentary plan, and we worked in shifts, people worked overnight, and we got it done.
The story behind Kibo Africa is a testament to the investment opportunities that lie within the country's borders. The need for knowledge transfer ensures that different skill sets are given a chance to flourish.
Because I believe that being close to the market, developing products with the people who are in the market, and also making them here brings a tie between the customer and the supplier, Kibo. Now, when the Big Four agenda came out, that to me actually sounded like somehow it was echoing something that I was thinking myself already for a couple of years, and I would actually really hope that we would get more support for. So I think the effect of a company like Kibo on the Big Four agenda, or let's say the alignment between what we do at Kibo Africa and the Big Four agenda is very obvious.
Kenya's strategic location and the lifting of the import duty made it easy for Kibo to set up camp in the country.
So Mombasa played a role. The port, the level to which it was developed even then, knowing that if you set up an assembly plant somewhere, you will have to be able to bring in all your components. So those things weighed heavily, and that's how I came to decide on Kenya.
Safety of Kenyans remains a huge focus, and for Kibo, they're keen on innovation.
This is the K150. Okay. For our customers, I think a couple of things are very important. They're looking for reliability, they're looking for safety, and they're looking for economy. So this bike gives them all of that. I can point out, for instance, when I lean over a little bit, the frame, the way it's constructed. It's called an exoskeletal frame. It's on the outside of all the vulnerable parts in the bike, which means that should a rider fall over, those parts, they don't damage. Now this is part of the reliability because it means you can get up and continue your work.
Moving forward, this is what Hybe has in store for his company.
I can say that after the launch we had a very nice pickup. This year things are looking even better already. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2019 we will surpass the 1,000 units mark.
Kibo Africa is set to face the future with plans in place to ensure growth in the company that will lead to growth in the economy. Julie Wamboi, KTN Business.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a very short break, but we'll be right back. Do stay with me right here on Business Today.